back to Craft and Crochet. I'm Tabitha, and today we are going to be making wisp from my Void and Wisp pattern. We are going to make them into a smaller version. So cute. I love this so much, and I hope you guys do too. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so to start, let's talk about our materials. Today we are going to use a size 4 skinny chenille by Loops and Threads yarn here. This one is the Bluebird. I think it'll give a nice ethereal, spiritual look to our little wisp. That'll be fun. And then you're going to need some polyfill. And then I'm also going to be using some, I believe it's Polyfill brand beans, like little plastic pellets, inside the nylon sock that I had. And then this is about 65 grams. This is probably the most you're going to need for the little one. If you're going to size up at all, then you'll probably want to double this. And of course, then if you want to size down, then you're going to go ahead and use less and tie it off, and then keep using the nylon sock too. I'll have another video on how to use all this fun stuff. And then today we're going to be using 16mm eyes that I painted a nice gold. I think will go really well with the blue. You're going to need a 4mm hook for this specific pattern. If you want to size up, of course, take a look at your hooks. And then a needle, darning needle, yarn needle. I have a couple different stitch marker options. This one I made here, actually these I made as well with the 3D printer, but you can use whatever you want for stitch marker. And then of course, some good scissors. And then here are my sized up options. These use Posh from Joann's, a Big Twist Posh. Michaels now offers Posh Pearl, which I think will be really nice. And then these are 25mm eyes. And then the additional things here, a little flower as well as little feet and a tail you can find in my written pattern, which I will link in the description below. The Posh is also made with a 5mm hook, so just to keep that in mind. That's sized up there. This one does have a little bit of beans in there. So use about 120 to 140 grams of beans with your bigger makes, and of course you can add more or less to your liking. Okay, so to start we are going to make the head. I also love the head for its versatility. You can make just little keychains or have just nice little dumpling head just to give to friends, family, sell at your booths for those little makes. So we're going to start with the head. That is going to be a magic ring with 8 single crochet into the magic ring. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Perfect. So I'm going to pull that tight. And if my stitches look a little different, it's because I use a yarn over, yarn under, which I can do a video on later if anybody would like. Next, we're going to go into that first one and we're going to do 8 increases around. That should bring us to 16. Next, we are going to do single crochet increase times 8. And I am going to start using a stitch marker here so that we are all on the same page. Next, we are going to do single crochet increase and single crochet times 8. This kind of staggers our increases so that we have a nice round body going on here. Head, sorry. to single crochet increase. That was 3 stitches. So I'm going to go back and put my stitch marker in. And I put my stitch marker into the first stitch of the round. Some people like to do it in the last stitch of the round. It's perfect. Next, we're going to do something just a little bit different. We're going to do 15 single crochet and then an increase. We're going to do that times 2. So 1, 2, 3. On that increase, and that will just give us 2 more at 34. Next, we are just going to single crochet around, so 34 stitches around. Okay, so next we are going to start to shape the head upwards, and we are going to do 4 single crochet, invisible decrease, 8 single crochet, invisible decrease times 2, 6 single crochet, and then an invisible decrease. So I will show you what that looks like here. The invisible decrease. So let me start with the 4. I did 2. Put my marker in. 2 more. I've got my 4. Now the invisible decrease, we are just going through the front 2 loops to get our decrease. So that is the front loop here of the first stitch, and then the front loop of the second stitch. Pull up a loop, and then pull through. Now let me show that one more time. So through the front loop of the first stitch, through the front loop of the second stitch, pull up a loop through those 2, and then pull through. And then make sure that we're going into the next full stitch, not the stitches of our front loops there. I've made that mistake before. You can kind of tell the ones that are being pulled up, we're not going to work into those. So now we're going to do our 8 single crochet, invisible decrease. So 1, 2. And I'll show you that invisible decrease again. So not wrapping over or doing anything, we're just going to go through the front loop of the first stitch, and then the front loop of the second stitch. There's 3 on there. Pull up a loop through those front loops, and then pull through. And then skipping all of that, doing 8 more. that is round 7. We should have 30 stitches. I took my stitch marker out because next round 8 is going to be 8 single crochet invisible decrease times 3. So that's a little simpler. I'll start with my 1. I'll see you at the end of this row. Row 9, we are going to do 4 single crochet invisible decrease, 7 single crochet invisible decrease times 2, and then 3 single crochet. This is round 10. We are going to single crochet around, and then after this round we're going to insert our eyes. Single crochet around. You should have 24 stitches. Alright, it should start to look like this. Now we're going to grab our eyes. If you're going to do safety eyes, like I said, I'm going to do some 16mm sinker eyes. Otherwise, you can do just the plain black safety eyes, or I know embroidering eyes is a big thing too. I have not mastered that yet, but if you have, then you are more than welcome to do that once we finish the head, and you can skip this part. Otherwise, I'm going to just pull up a little bit so I don't lose my loop there. And we are going to put these in at about round 6, round 7, and then about 8 stitches apart. Just let me find my magic ring. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7. So in between 6 and 7. And I'm going to be across from my loop starter areas there. And I'm going to put 1 in, get it to how I want it to be, and then I'm going to count from there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then I'm going to put my next one in here. Pull that in. If you use bigger eyes, you may want them a little bit farther apart, because these sinker eyes, they're going to sink in, give a little bit of that space there. If I were to put them any closer, they would be like, well, which maybe you want, maybe you don't. So that is up to you. This is just what I am doing today. I'm going to grab my backs. I do like to size up my backs when I am using this more plush yarn and sinker eyes. It just helps pop them in there. You do just need to make sure that the hole on the back is actually going to click when you put them on. And that's super simple. And loop out of the way. And there they are. Super cute. You may give them just a little bit of a wiggle or a tug, make sure they're not going to pop out. There we go. And then we are going to move on to round 11. I just love the eye stage because then you're like, oh, look, it's all coming together. So fun. Okay. So round 11, we are going to do 10 single crochet invisible decrease times 2. Now I'm going to start to add just a little bit of Fiberfil, and you do want to make sure you're getting underneath the eyes so that it fills out nicely. And then I will move on to round 12, which is 4 single crochet invisible decrease times 3, and then 4 single crochet. Round 13 is going to be 5 single crochet invisible decrease, 3 single crochet invisible decrease, 5 single crochet invisible decrease, and that should be along the bottom here for you to follow along. Round 14 is going to be 8 invisible decreases. So you can add a little stuffing right now, or you can get about halfway through and then add a little bit more stuffing, but this hole is going to close up pretty quickly here. So just keep that in mind. So I'm going to do my first invisible decrease, stitch marker, and then remember not to go back into those invisible decreases, but go into the next stitch. And you can do that by kind of pulling up and being like, okay, that's the one. So we're going to go into the next. I'm going to add a little bit of stuffing right now. And then this head doesn't have to be too firm, but it's up to you how you want to do your stuffing, filling. And just a little bit more. Because then if you remember too, we still have to do a little like top bit here. So we're getting there. And I'm going to continue on with my decreases. This blue is reminding me of the little like Chaos or Chow guys from Sonic. Love it. Okay, and then we are going to do 2 single crochet regular decrease, 4 single crochet. I'm going to do 2 single crochet, 1, 2, and then a regular decrease. So I'm going to go in, pull up a loop, go into my second stitch, pull up a loop, and then pull through all 3. And then we are going to do 4 single crochet. And then we are going to do 2 single crochet, half double crochet increase, and then 5 single crochet. So we're going to do 1, 2, a half single or a half double crochet increase. So we're going to yarn over, put into our stitch, yarn over, pull up, pull through, just 2 half double crochets into the same stitch. And then we are going to do 5. This will go 1 stitch beyond. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then if you want to, you can end it here and then sew this shut, and that is how this little guy is. Otherwise, I am going to show you how to give it kind of this double look here like I have on my bigger ones. And that is all explained in my written pattern, but I'll go ahead and show you here. So then we're going to chain 1 and skip 4 stitches. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'll go into the front of the 5th stitch. Could be a little tricky on these smaller guys. And pull up a loop, single crochet, and then I'll do 3 single crochets. 1, 2, 3. And then working into the chain and just the top of this side bit here, we're going to do 2 decreases. If you need to pull up your loops a little looser, then that is okay, because I'm not able to get there. And then if you want to make it a little taller, you can keep going another 4 single crochet. I think this guy is good. I'm going to fasten off here this, and I'm going to cut this just long enough so that I can sew this other part shut here too. I'm going to grab my hook, I'm going to grab my needle, through, and then I am just going to kind of weave this through here to close off this top bit, at the same time going down to close off the second bit. Just finding what loops will work best. I go in here, this will hide this, and blends in with that. I get pretty creative with my stitching sometimes, just to hide it well enough and make sure everything's secure. Pull it a little bit just to make sure that the hole is closed. I think we'll go through one more. Through the back. And then I'm going to tuck this down in, give it a pull, pull that back out, and then we'll hide that inside. And that is our little head. And then, like I said, this would be great for some little keychains to do, or just little, if you wanted to put some weighted pellets into the head, just kind of nice little paper holders, paperweights. But isn't this so cute? All right, let's move on to the body. Okay, so next we are going to do the body. Quick note here, you can do just Fiberfil for the body if you want. That'll give you this kind of plump shape here. And then I would recommend little feet or tail, which you can find in my written pattern that I will link in the description below. That just helps it sit up. Otherwise, if you're going to do a weighted version like this little guy is, or even this one, you're going to want to prepare your little bag of pellets. You can use beans or rice as well. Just remember that that's organic material and could mold or deteriorate over time if you're going to wash them or keep it for a long time, which hopefully you do. Another option that I forgot about are the glass rocks that you can usually find at the dollar store or the craft store, of course. These are the larger ones, but you can get like a little bag of the smaller ones, and that would be kind of a fun sensory option for you. So we are going to start with a magic ring and 8 single crochet in that magic ring, just like we did with the head. This will be the bottom of our little body. And then we are going to do 8 increases. Okay, so here I have 16, and now we're going to do single crochet increase times 8. That'll bring us to 24, and then next we're going to do that single crochet increase single crochet times 8. Next, we're going to do 7 single crochet increase times 4. We are going to do 3 rounds of single crochet to shape up the bottom of the body here. I already started with my 1. Now I'm going to do 3 rounds, and I will see you at the end of those 3 rounds. Okay, so that was rounds 6, 7, and 8. You should have 36 stitches in each round because we were just single crocheting around. Make sure when you're making all of this too that you're taking a nice stretch break. Don't need to get burnt out. Okay, round 10, we are just going to single crochet around. Round 11 is going to be 7 single crochet, invisible decrease, 15 single crochet, invisible decrease, and then 8. Round 12 is going to be invisible decrease, 8 single crochet times 3, and then 2 single crochet. We're going to Now our next round is going to be a single crochet around. So you should have 29 stitches, and we're just going to do 29 single crochet around. Now at this point, you may want to add a little bit of stuffing, since we are starting to close this hole slowly. Otherwise, if you do have your bag of beans, depending on how big it is, I'm going to wait just a couple more rounds before I put this in. But if yours is smaller than mine, then you can definitely put it in there now. It gives it a little bit of weight and helps kind of keep your project. Round 14. You're going to do 8 single crochet invisible decrease, 7 single crochet invisible decrease, 8 single crochet invisible decrease. Round 15 is going to be 11 single crochet invisible decrease times 2. I'm pulling my loop out there a little bit just so I can add in my bag of beans. When you do this, make sure your knot is on top, just so that when you sew it all together, you don't feel that knot at the bottom there, and it gets kind of mixed in with the neck, so it's all flush. Now this can take a little bit of maneuvering, so bear with me here. You'll see why 65 grams is about the max for this size, because we will be adding a few rows, so I mean it'll be okay, but it is packed. All right, let's get ready for our next round. So round 16 is going to be 2 single crochet invisible decrease times 6. This should take you from 24 to 18 stitches. Round 17 is going to be single crochet invisible decrease times 6. sure to go slow with this one because it can be a little frustrating with your bag of beans in the way. So to finish up, we are going to do single crochet invisible decrease times 4. To fasten off with a long enough tail to sew the head on after bed here. Before we sew the head on, we are going to make our little arms. Okay, to start our arms, we are going to do another magic circle, magic ring. This time only 4. Nice and tight. And then we are going to do single crochet increase times 2. Take this nice and slow. It can be a little tricky when it's smaller like this. Should make 6 stitches, and then we're going to do one more round. So round number 3 is going to be a single crochet increase in each, so that'll give us 9. That should take you to 9, and you are going to just single crochet around for round 4. Round 5 is going to be another round of single crochet increase, but then the last stitch will be an increase. So single crochet increase times 4, and then an increase. Round 6 is going to be 6 single crochets and an increase times 2. Round 7 is just going to be single crochet around, and that should be 16 stitches. Round 8 is going to be 2 single crochet and then an invisible decrease times 4. Round 9 is going to be 2 single crochet invisible decrease times 3. that magic ring tail in there. I am using a plush yarn, so I'm not going to do any stuffing in these arms, but if you want to, you can add a little bit of stuffing before we get to the rest of it here. Perfect. I've got 9 stitches, which is where I should be, and we are going to single crochet around for 9. And then we are going to, for round 11, single crochet invisible decrease times 3. And then we are going to do 2 rounds of single crochet around for 6 stitches in each. And then once you're done with your second round of single crochet, we are going to fasten off with enough tail to sew on our arm. And you are going to want to make 2 of these. So go ahead, and I will put in the little bar here that you can go back and make your second arm. And then once you make your second arm, you can go ahead and move forward with the video. Alright, now you got your 2 arms, your little body, your little head. We can go ahead and start putting it all together. So you're going to grab your body, you're going to grab your head. With the beans, it's a little difficult to do like ammy sticks or anything like that, but if you want to try using some pins to put the head on and kind of see where it's going to be, that is a-okay. Otherwise, I like to take my needle, thread, and then I will hold them together where I want them. I want the fastened off part towards the back. Just taking that into account, and this is small enough I can hold it just one hand. And then since this comes from the body, I'm going to go through the head first, and we're going to try and stick to the magic ring 1-2 rounds there. The magic ring should line up pretty well with the whole of the body. Some people call me chaotic for not using any pins, but sometimes that's how you just got to do it. And I'm going through a couple stitches at a time. There are nicer ways to go about this. I shouldn't say nicer. There are like some people get very detailed about their stitches when sewing together, but this little guy doesn't require too much. And sometimes I'll even go back through like where the yarn came out, because that kind of keeps it flush a little more. We're just going around. Take your time. I have done this a few times with this guy, so I'm able to know about where I want to go, but you take your time. This also goes to show how easy it is to attach. Sometimes sewing can get a bad rep just because it's like, ugh, perfect, but when you use fuzzy yarn too, it's really forgiving. Okay, and I'm kind of back where I started. I'm gonna just check. I want another stitch there. Check the front. Front looks good. I'm gonna go back through the front just one more time, and then I'll go around this way. Make sure he's on there. And then I'm going to run run the rest of my yarn through the back so I can tie all my ends together at the end here. My bead bag might be getting in the way a little bit. There we go, heads on the body. How cute is this guy? Or gal, you know? Okay, now we're going to do our first arm. I like to make sure the arms are just back from the eyes, and they're going to be right at the neck there. So again, you can pin them on if you like. But it's going to be right at the edge of the eye. I'm going to put that through. And I just go straight through the neck here. If you wanted to, you could have both of them up at the same time and then just use one thread to attach them. We're just weaving back and forth. I'll just go out the back. Let's see if I like how that is. Sometimes you can have a couple less stitches so that it'll move. So like this one, we can go hi. Stay flat. Flat enough. I did see one little gap back here, so I'll go back through, grab my gap, stitch through the gap. Up this side. There, like that. And then I'm going to put this, whoops, I'm going to thread that back out and aim for the same hole that or the same stitch that the head yarn is coming out of. I can tie those all together later. Let's grab my other arm. And then again, it's going to be at the neck, just at the edge of the eye there. And this one, I'm just going to kind of go back and forth through here. You can go through the other side. Let's see, let's make sure those line up nicely. Push it through the neck. You wanted to add an additional stitch to your other arm, otherwise it's just behind that arm there. And then I'm going back through that same hole that it came out of, but then I will exit through a different hole because we gotta sew up that armpit again. Because if I were to go through another hole, it'll add like a little divot. I don't want to do that. But to each their own, you know? That's the nice thing about crochet and crafting, like nothing's gonna be perfect. As long as you're happy with your cute little creation, it's gonna be amazing. Okay, I think I'm almost done here. I'm gonna go back through that same hole. And then I've got all of my ties here. I'm just gonna pick two, tie them together, pick two other ones, well, one and then the third, and then tie them together, And I'm just kind of tying them all together. If you want to do the one big knot, you sure could. And that would just be like this, and then tying it over and through. But I'm happy with that. Do that. Tuck these in. Oh my gosh, I promise I'm getting there. There we go. How it all looks. Oh my gosh, and there is our little wisp. Thank you so much for crafting your own little wisp with me today. If you have any questions or want to tag me in your makes, I will leave my information in the description below. On Instagram, I am Tabitha Lee Me, and there's a little craft and crochet emblem over there. Also, this written pattern is available on Etsy and Ravelry if you want to go over there and grab that. That's where you can also find the pattern for the tail and the legs for this little guy. If you have any questions though, please reach out, and I look forward to seeing how your little wisp came out. They're just so cute. I just love it so much. So thank you, and I hope to see you at the next video. Bye!